Hello everyone. So in this video, we are going to discuss about the types of warehouses. Okay. So in the previous videos, we have already seen what is a warehouse and what is the purpose of the warehouse. In a nutshell, what we have discussed is the primary purpose of a warehouse is to store the products, and the products could be raw material, semi-finished goods, or even finished goods. Okay. With that preview, let's get into the session on types of warehouses. So before we get into the types of warehouses, to make things very clear for you, I'm going to show you two different facilities. As you can see, I have made these two facilities. They are doing the same job, which is nothing but the storage. But if you look at these images, they are very contrastingly different. So let's spend some time on both of these and then move on to the actual session on types of warehouses. So if you look at these two images on the left hand side, it is also a storage facility, but you can see here the people are not wearing a safety helmet. They are carrying the products using hand. Their lifting positions are not right. They are ergonomically not sound. You can see spillages on the floor. You absolutely see there are no signages in this facility. There are no lights, so there is definitely no proper ventilation and lighting. Okay, completely contrasting to this, if you see the facility at your right hand side, you can see the operators are wearing safety helmets. You can see that they are using the right equipments to handle the products. There are no products on the ground. There are fire extinguishers and there are signage boards, and there is proper lighting. So why I made these two images to tell you, the image on the left hand side, we don't call that as a warehouse, we call that as a godown, because there is no proper basic infrastructure in that facility, and we call that as a godown. Decades before, most of the storage facilities are used like a godown, but things have changed a lot in the past years, and currently you get the basic infrastructure in most of the storage facilities, and that's where you call that as a warehouse, provided you have the right safety measures in place, you have the proper ventilation and lighting, you have the proper handling of materials and the basic warehousing processes in place, and then we call that storage facility as a warehouse. So this is a basic, right? Once you understood this, now what we are going to move ahead with is to look at the types of warehouses. Okay, so within the types of warehouses, first we are going to see the different types of warehouses based on the function they do. Okay, that is the first set of categories which you are going to see in, and within the category of by function, the first one we have is nothing but a distribution center. So as the name implies, a distribution center, okay, which is also a warehouse, so the primary responsibility is to store the product, but as the name implies, the role of a distribution center is not just to receive the product, but it also distributes the product down the supply chain. Okay, so the definition goes like this: a distribution center is a specialized facility within supply chain that is primarily designed for the storage, handling, and movement before they are distributed to anyone down the supply chain. It could be retailer, it could be wholesaler, or it could be directly to the customer. But just hold on to it, because the next one I am going to also talk about some of the other types. Primarily, the distribution center is going to receive the material and then distribute it down the supply chain. And if you see the image, I've also shown you multiple warehouses. Typically, a distribution center is going to move the product to multiple other warehouses, and from there it can potentially get onto the customers. But by definition, it can also distribute the product to the customers. Okay, so that is absolutely fine. Okay, so that's the distribution center. The second one we have, again by function, is nothing but a fulfillment center, as the name implies, the fulfillment center. So now and people would call it as FC. Okay, people will call this as FC. This is a terminology predominantly used in e-commerce industry. Okay, so even on a fulfillment center, the product comes in, okay, and the products are getting distributed. So it is perfectly fine to say a fulfillment center is also a distribution center. That's nothing wrong. But as the definition goes, fulfillment is always means order to delivery. That means you're fulfilling a sales order by a customer. And it is, as I told you, it is a specific term used by the e-commerce industry. And as the definition goes, these products are sent to the e-commerce customers. Okay, so FC is a specialized type of warehouse or a logistics facility that is designed to handle uh, the entire order fulfillment process. What is that entire order fulfillment process? Receiving a sales order, processing a sales order, picking the product, packing the product, shipping the product to the customer, and get the proof of delivery done. That is nothing but the fulfillment process. And FC exactly does this. I want to again call it out. FC is a word predominantly used in the e-commerce industry. So if you're on a interview with an e-commerce player, whoever the interview, they are going to use the word FC, which is nothing but the fulfillment center. The third one we have is nothing but the cross-docking warehouse. Again, this is also by function. Cross-docking. What is a dock? Dock is nothing but the entrance to a warehouse. It's like you have the main door of your home. Same like that. The main door of a warehouse is nothing but a dock. I am talking about only this D-O-C-K, dock. So what is that cross-docking? Typically, as the name implies, cross-docking is nothing but this warehouse is not built to store the product. It can store, but it has to do some activity, take it from one dock, do some quick activity, send it through the dock. So typically it is going to do some activities and then ship the products out. As you can see on the image, the product comes in, it is getting unloaded, and as you can see here, people are doing some activity. This could be a labeling activity. Think like a product comes in, people are going to label all the cottons or repack some of the cottons, put it into the outbound side, and then ship it down the supply chain, which is nothing but the cross-docking. So by definition, cross-docking is a logistics facility or a warehouse where the inbound goods which are coming in from the suppliers or the manufacturers are unloaded, sorted, and directly transferred to your outbound vehicles after doing a specific activity, which could be as simple as repackaging, or it could be labeling, or it could be a mere conversion of your primary packaging into a smaller packages, which is nothing but the cross-docking. Very effective and very much required in most of the industries, and specifically e-commerce industries use cross-docking a lot. Fourth one, again by the function, what we have is a returns warehouse. So this as well, if you go with a traditional warehousing, there is nothing called as a returns warehouse. The same warehouse is going to handle returns. Then from where this concept of returns warehouse came in? It is again from the e-commerce industry. Let me talk about a category called fashion. You know what is the return rate of a fashion? The return rate of a fashion category in e-commerce varies between 25 to 40%. That means 100 items goes out, there is a chance 25 to 40 comes back, right? This is just an average. So think about the returns it is coming in. It is very difficult to manage that in the main warehouse, and that is where most of the big e-commerce players started having a dedicated returns warehouse. I think that is by function. This is also one of the type of the warehouse, and the definition is right over here. I just explained it in a very simple term. You can obviously take a copy of this and then read it by yourself as well. The fifth one what we have is nothing but the consolidation warehouse, and this is also by function. As the name implies, consolidation. So what are we doing here? This warehouse job is to consolidate the products into a single shipment, something like that. Probably. I'll give you a quick example which would make it absolutely clear for you. This is also a warehouse, right? But here what it does is it consolidates the products. I'm going to talk about a specific lane or a business model which starts from China. procurement in China, and there is a multi-brand retailer who's based out of United States. Okay, and what this company does is they get at least 20 to 30 different categories of products they are sourcing from China, but their customers are in US. Okay, and I'm picking up China US because this is one of the most famous lane for consolidation which happens in China. So what it does is the consolidation warehouse or a consolidation center will be based out in China. So what they do is that consolidation center is going to receive all the products from the different categories, like 20 different categories. It could be toys, it could be electronics, it can be some fashion products. Everything is consolidated in this warehouse. They group it into a shipment which could suit a 20 footer or a 40 footer, and then from that consolidation center in China, it is shipped in bulk in a container to the United States, to the parent organization. This is a role of a consolidation warehouse. And as I've told you, the China US example is a very, very apt one, and it happens even in India, even within India as well. Okay, and the definition goes like this. A consolidation warehouse is a facility where small shipments from multiple suppliers received and grouped together combined into a larger or more economical outbound loads, which in turn helps you on a lesser transportation cost. If you remember, we discussed about this in our previous video, what is a warehouse. And then the sixth one and the last one within the category function is break bulk. As you can see, you would have guessed it by now. It's a complete reverse of consolidation. In consolidation, you grouped it. In break bulk, you are going to actually deconsolidate, and you can call it as a deconsolidation warehouse, but there is a very specific name here, which is break bulk. So what you do here, you are going to get bigger shipments, but you are going to break it up into small shipments, and then you send it to the customer. Where this will be used? This is used everywhere. Think of a situation where you are running a business in the southern part of the country, and your supplier is in the northern part of the country, right? Rather than shipping directly from those suppliers in a smaller units, and then you are going to take it to the customers, what you can do to avoid your transportation cost or keep it minimal is you are going to consolidate everything in the way you require into a bigger shipment. So it is going to be a kind of a full truckload coming from the northern side of the country to the southern part of the country, and in your warehouse which is in the southern part of the country, you are going to break bulk, make it into the units which suits the exact orders of customers, and then you do the last mile delivery. The last leg of transportation towards the end customer is nothing but the last mile delivery. Okay, so that is what exactly I've written on the definition. So now that we have completed everything by function, as you can see here, now we are going to see the types of warehouses by ownership. What is that? Who owns the warehouse? Basis that what are all the categories available. The first one we have is nothing but the bonded warehouse. What is a bonded warehouse? Something like a James Bond movie. It is a term used in import-export business very, very frequently. Again, don't get worried if you don't know about export-import. I'll put it in a very simple language. A bonded warehouse is basically a very secure storage, right? And it is licensed and regulated by the government, okay, or by the custom authorities. Typically, whenever a product enters a country through a sea or air, it has to clear the customs. That's the basics. Just keep it to that level. In case if you want to store a product, there is some requirement, right? If you want to store a product before you clear the customs, right, then it has to be on a bonded warehouse. So where the imported goods can be stored without immediate payment of custom duties or taxes, and duties and taxes only paid when the goods are removed for sale from the bonded warehouse. Keep it at that level. If you are really interested in bonded warehouse, and if you are trying to get into export and import and you want to get more of this bonded warehouse, please leave your comment down. I would definitely answer. But for this video, I think if you are understanding this much, which is good enough. This is by ownership. The next type of warehouse in ownership, we have the on-demand storage. What is that on-demand storage? What happens is, typically if you go to any of the available warehouse footprint, you get somewhere in maybe around 10,000 square feet, 20,000 square feet. If it is in square meters, I'm talking about somewhere on 1,000 square meters and above. What if some clients are requiring space less than 1,000 square meters, or it is very specific, you need it for a specific time? What if there is a, and you also know most of the businesses have a lot of up and down in terms of their demand. So there is a specific season where an organization requires a little bit of additional storage. They look outside rather than getting a full fixed warehouse. They want to have a space for a specific amount of time. Or a client who require very like 4 pallet positions. These kind of requirements are taken care on demand storage, wherein for example I can run a business of on demand storage. I can have a 100,000 square feet facility. I will create the location, storage locations. I will tell them, hey, you know what, you want only one pallet location, take it. I will charge you based on what is the cubic meter of storage you have used and for how many days. Basis that I will charge you on a monthly basis. This is nothing but a on demand storage. This is by ownership. Over and above this, there is also you have other variations within ownership. I'll just quickly read this out for you. Public warehouse, private warehouse, government warehouse. What is a public warehouse? Public warehouse is nothing but something very similar to what I've just explained you. It can be used by multiple businesses. Okay, so this is typically run by a 3PL, a third party logistics provider. He is having a warehouse and he will let it out for the different clients, which is nothing but the public warehouse. On demand warehouse by definition is also a public warehouse. Private warehouse, take an example of Flipkart or an Amazon. Now Flipkart or Amazon have their own warehouses, right? Now on an Amazon warehouse, there is no access for any other organizations to be part of, because they are not operating as a 3PL. Rather, they are using it for their own use. It's operated by the company itself. Then it is a private warehouse. Okay, the last one within the ownership is a government warehouse. So the bonded warehouse, what we talked about, is also a government warehouse, but there are other facilities which are run by government itself. I'll give you a very classic example, very well known in India. If you are following the alcohol business in India, it is a completely regulated industry in India. Okay, what that means, completely regulated? That means every bottle of liquor which is taken into the market legally can go through only a government warehouse. Right, so they are talking about this illegal liquor which is bypassing this. That is what they call it, as an illegal liquor. So typically all those warehouses which are done or managed by the government for the liquor business is called as a government warehouse, and there is absolutely no access for any other organizations to operate unless authorized by the government. Okay, with that, let's move on to the next category, is by storage condition. And so the very famous one is the cold storage. So as you can see the image, all your ice creams and meat and beverages, everything comes under a cold storage. So you need a facility which is not just an ambient one, which has to be maintained on a cooler temperature than the normal temperature. And there are multiple categories of temperature requirement. I'm not going much into it. Typically, it is a refrigerated storage facility. You can say like that. Okay. So by that, you call it as a cold warehouse or a cold storage. Either way you can call it. And by the definition, it is a specialized storage facility designed to store temperature sensitive products under a controlled condition of refrigeration or freezing. One of the booming industry, and if you are a supply chain enthusiast, please read some of the case studies. In fact, yesterday I've shared a case study on my LinkedIn, wherein we have set up a complete cold storage cluster in Middle East, right from strategy, design, and implementation. Trust me, even after 25 years in supply chain, it is an exciting project to do. So cold chain is an area within supply chain which is really picking up pace, and you can spend more time on it. This is just a preview to tell you this is one of the type of the warehouse. Moving on to the next, I'm going to talk about some of the emerging types of warehouses. First one is called a is an automated warehouse. I'm going to talk about two different things. One is an automated warehouse. The next one, what I'm going to talk about is a smart warehouse. I'll quickly talk about the differences between automated warehouse and the smart warehouse. First one, automated warehouse. As you can see here, you have the ASRS system, you have conveyors over here, you have all the equipments being used over here. So typically, automated warehouse focus on automation, improving productivity, improving reliability. So you can talk about automation in material handling, automation in processing, automation in picking the product. There is a system called pick to light (PTL). That means the picker no need to think of what to pick. A light will glow, they will just pick the product. Pick to light. There is also called put away to light. Okay, so there are multiple systems. Everything focuses on automating a warehouse. That means less human interaction. That is the crisp of automated warehouse. Now again, a very big topic. I would love to share more thoughts on automated warehouse. I have set up multiple automated warehouses across the country. Feel free to drop a note on any of this. You have questions. You have a question on AS or a system. You have a question on pick to light or put to light. You have a question on automated guided vehicles, AGVs, which are very, very common nowadays. Please leave a note or a comment. I can then answer it to you. Okay. And then the next one, as I've told you, is the smart warehouse. A smart warehouse is also an automated warehouse. Then what is the difference over here? As you can see here, this is also having an ASRS system. Then what is the difference over here? The word smart means it is not just automation. The warehouse should have a capability of thinking and taking some decisions on its own. Now that is a catch here. Moment I talk about this, you require artificial intelligence and machine learning, and it could be even an IoT, right? Internet of things, sensors, right? So if your warehouse is smart, means it should use an IoT technology, or it could be using AI or ML. Doesn't matter which technology it uses, it has to be smart, taking some decisions on its own. Okay, if that warehouse is taking that, then we call it as a smart warehouse. In the industry nowadays, what happens is people call the automated warehouse as a smart warehouse. No, automating is not smart, because that cannot take decisions on its own. A quick example, what I can tell you for a smart warehouse, one of the small function which we have recently implemented is when a product gets scanned, automatically the tech can tell which location this product has to go to. That is an automation. Is this concept not available? It is available for ages. The concept is called concepting or slotting. It is there in most of the ERPs for ages, but using a technology, you are seamlessly ensuring that every product, moment you scan, the the smart warehouse is going to take a decision based on the dimension, and based on the dimension of the location, telling, hey, you know what, this has to go to the fourth aisle and into the location number 5, something like that. That we can call it as a smart warehouse. Now the last one we have is called a dark warehouse. Okay, it's an emerging type. I'm so glad this year I was able to work on one specific project on dark warehouse. Pretty exciting. So what is a dark warehouse? We have an automated warehouse. We have a smart warehouse. Then what is that next level? Dark warehouse. Dark warehouse, which is also called as lights out warehouse. It doesn't mean it is going to be light. Sorry, it's going to be dark. The meaning is there is not going to be a single human inside the facility. It is completely driven by tech, which could include your AGVs or ASRS, what it could be, but it is completely managed without humans. If that is possible, then it is called the dark warehouse, which is very much possible. So when you're able to achieve that on your warehouse, then we call that as a dark warehouse. And the reason why we call that as a dark warehouse, since there are no humans inside, there is no light is required. So that is called a lights out warehouse or a dark warehouse. Okay, and what I have done over here is I have made a kind of a nice looking summary, wherein, as you can see here, by function, by ownership, by storage condition, by emerging, and all the variations what you have seen, like distribution center, the fulfillment center, cross docking, returns, consolidation, break bulk. Under function, ownership is bonded warehouse, on demand storage, public, private, government. Storage condition, you comes with cold storage. Emerging comes with automated warehouse, smart warehouse, and dark warehouse. How simple, right? That is a summary. If you need this poster, if you liked it, if you want to keep it, I will leave it on the description, a link with which you can get this. What I also made for you is the warehouse type as a poster for you. This is also downloadable. I'll give the link down. So this will be like a very handy, which will tell you the types of warehouses. Also a quick preview or an explanation about what is that. Okay, so that's it on this video. I'm sure you would have enjoyed today's session. Please feel free to ask any question what you may have down in the comments. I would be glad to answer them. I'll see you on the next session. Thank you.